Meantime, I'm here for you, and I'll try my best to make sure that I bring you all the best when it comes to the sports that took place this weekend. A lot of things took place this weekend, from Safari Rally, from the WRC at Naivasha, to the Sport Pesa Premier League, to the English Premier League. The previous, also last week, during the midweek, there was Champions League. So I'll be giving you a taste of that and everything that took place this weekend. So brace yourself for an amazing show. I hope wherever you are, you will be talking to me directly through our social media platforms. That is at EBN TV, on our Facebook page, whereby this broadcast is live, and also on our YouTube page, also the same name at EBN TV, and we surely have a nice conversation. Help me share this broadcast so that it can reach out to as many people as possible, as we share our ideas and as we take part in the conversation of the various topics that we'll be tackling today. So sit down, relax, and let me give you all the best in as far as sports actions took place. And as the wise men say, the charity begins at home. So we're going to start from the actions that took place in Kenya this weekend, whereby there was the Safari Rally that took place this weekend at Naivasha, whereby the Japanese guy took the one for the this guy took the podium in 2021. 5 years later, now he's at the podium as the first place here. His name is the name is a problem to me. Acha nitafute hapa hivi. Takasuta, something like that. Let me get the name right. I don't want to pronounce it in a wrong way. Niliafu ikuwe na issues hapa hivi. So I want to get the name right. His name is Takamoto Katsuta. Yes, the winner of this 2026 Safari Rally at Naivasha that ended yesterday, taking the first position. And it was he's the first Japanese driver since the year 1992 to win a Safari Rally circuit. So it was good spirits from him and his co-driver there as he walked to victory. And the moment where he received the present or the car from the president of Kenya at the podium. So it was a good time for the Toyota Gazoo team, whereby they took the lead for this year's Safari Rally. So kudos to the Toyota Gazoo team for winning this circuit of the Safari Rally. And it was quite a difficult one, especially when we talk about the rains that took place in Naivasha on Saturday. So I could just imagine how difficult it is. And imagine as the winner in such a difficult feat, then it shows the prowess and the preparedness that was there. Because if you followed this particular event, is whereby a lot of cars got spoiled due to the terrain and the weather and all that, but being able to sustain yourself, to be disciplined enough to make sure that you come out as the winner in this particular feat, then it's a good thing. It shows the discipline, the dedication, and all that, and the team also side, whereby they did everything to make sure that they come out as the winner. So kudos to the winner of this part, and the three drivers who took the podium. So kudos to them. And there was a cry of the stakeholders saying that we need the country also needs to host even other events from next year, whereby there were rumors that this will be the last Safari Rally event for quite some time, but from what I heard from the president yesterday as he was finishing up in his speech, he talked about next year being there will be another Safari Rally, they might renew the contract. I heard from the promoters and all that when they were talking good about how the event has been and the miles it has taken, and the need to renew the contract so that we can have other events taking place in the country. And also the president said about something about next year is going to be the first time whereby the private sector will be fully funding the Safari Rally, because in the previous years the government was at the forefront of funding everything about the Safari Rally. So for the first time, the president said for the first time next year, the private sector will come in and sponsor these events fully to make sure that we have a colorful and even better event as compared to the previous ones. And also promised something about the dueling of the Mau Summit Highway, this Nakuru-Naivasha Highway, whereby he said that this is the last time we'll be experiencing the jam that comes about with this event, because so many people travel from different parts of the country, and also even outside the country, because yesterday we saw people from as far as Uganda and Tanzania coming in in to watch this wonderful event. So the president talked about dueling that particular road to be able to avoid the traffic jams that comes about with the number of people who come in to watch this particular event. So it's good news when that happens, because we need to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place, because such events need the organizers of such events need to see the seriousness that we hold this particular event, and that comes with right infrastructure, right planning, good PR around it to make sure that it garners the noise and the spectators and all that. So when we see that, they'll be encouraged enough to make sure that we hold these events over and over, because this is also serves as a curtain raiser to upcoming events, especially the African Cup of Nations that will be coming in next year, that will be hosted by 3 countries, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So when we see such infrastructures improving, then it shows that we are serious about holding such high-profile events in this country, and not just serious. It shows that we are ready for all of these. So I hope these things comes to pass. This infrastructure, the infrastructure side, we have the right infrastructure in place to make sure that such events or organizers of such events are encouraged to hold such feats in this particular country, and it will be something good for us, both tourism and just fun engagement, people learning about these sports and taking part in them, because not so many people are part of the Safarali, but I think through these initiatives whereby we are hosting such events, then people will get the interest to be able to take part in these particular events, especially when you're starting young, the young people in this nation who maybe who love this particular sport. So people will be starting from a young age to grow up to be competitive rally drivers in future, because we want to see, because we all know that sport is one of the biggest or major employers to young people around the world, all over the world. So when we see young people, such events being held in this particular country will encourage the young people to take part in such events. As much as they might seem expensive, maybe they can source for the sponsors, and even sponsors will be coming in, because when they see the turn up when such events occur, then the sponsors will be encouraged to come in and sponsor such events, which means it will become easy even for other people, from any person around this country, to get sponsorship to be able to pursue the dreams of becoming maybe rally drivers and any other sports discipline that they love, because when we turn out, it encourages the sponsors. When we make noise about it, that is in case of making noise, that maybe creating awareness about these sports around this country, then it will encourage more people to come in, the sponsors will come in, money will circulate, young people will get employment through such events. So definitely it's a good thing for the country. Even the hotel industry in Naivasha, I know that it surged so much because of the number of people that went for this particular event. So it was good even for the hotel industry, for the transport industry, not leaving them behind, because the people who were traveling by public transport, money was poor, for lack of a better word. So definitely it's an event that comes out with a lot of goodies. The businessmen around Naivasha, those small scale trade SMEs and all that, they got something from that, because people were buying snacks, people going to the shops, people doing shoppings and all that. So definitely it's an event that comes with a lot of positivities, and just even for a weekend hangout for the people who want to feel that recreation and all that. So it's a relaxation event also for the people who have worked hard throughout the week, and now in the weekend they get a reason to go out there and relax. So it comes with a lot of good such events. So I hope more events like this are going to come up, especially international ones, to sell this country as a good place to hold these major events, So I hope that one has raised, and I know it has raised the bar high for that this country can host an event of such magnitude and in an impeccable way. So kudos to the organizers, Wakina Carl Flash Tundo, who were part of the organizers of this particular event. Kudos to you all for the good and amazing work you did for this particular event, and I hope that in the next events in the next years, if at all the contract gets renewed, then we'll be having even better ones. Better shows and better organizations, and just an increase in the fan base and all that, and so that we can get these positivities. This country has so many things to stress about. So when you get such something that can release your stress, can remove your stresses for some time, then it is worth it. So I hope everybody who went there enjoyed themselves. Now, away from the rally now, let us go to something different, whereby SportPesa Premier League was back into this weekend, whereby a host of games took place, and I'm going to mention some of them in the SportPesa Premier League. whereby starting off from Saturday, because it started off from Saturday. A good number of games took place this Saturday, but of course it started off from Friday because there was a single game on Friday, whereby APS Bomet took center stage against Bidco United, whereby the game ended on a 1-1 all draw. Yeah, thank you so much, my director, for putting that on the screen. Yeah, so APS Bomet against Bidco United ended in a 1-1 all draw. And Marvin Wamuka providing a man of the match performance in that particular feat. The goals from the APS Bomet side was scored by Henry Ochieng at the 44th minute, and then Amuka scored the equalizer for the visitors in the 47th minute. That is the game against the APS Bomet against Bidco United. A very good match that started off on Friday. On Saturday, there was also a host of games that took place, whereby Sofapaka played against Nairobi United, whereby Nairobi United won that particular game by a solitary goal to nil. Bandari FC drew 0-0 with Mara Sugar, a match that was very much competitive, and coming out with a goalless draw it shows that how difficult it was to get on the other side of the opponent. Mathare United defeated or annihilated FC Leopards by 4-1, a game that I would love to forget, but it is what it is. It is my work to make sure that I make you get to know everything that took place. So as much as I'm hurting, it is my work to make sure that you get to know about all these things. Now, we are going to go at I don't know why I'm here to talk about this game against FC Leopards, because it's a game that's very much close to my heart, a game that I had foreseen a situation where FC Leopards reduces the gap between them and Gor Mahia, something that did not happen. Losing by 4-1 is not something likely for a team in the caliber of FC Leopards. I know it was quite disappointing for the fans, and I saw even after the match, the fans confronted the chairman and maybe aired in their frustrations about it, because nobody foresaw this, especially Mathare United, that is a team that is just fresh from relegation, a team that I feel like FC Leopards, if they were serious title contenders, they were supposed to win this particular game. And if you look at the goal margin, also is very much disappointing. 4 goals past 2 is quite a number of games. And people blame it on the number of injuries that FC Leopards has, especially for their first team players. I got to understand that Casey Odhiambo did not take place because I think it's an injury. Katasi did not play in that particular game, the goalkeeper. So, and a host of other players who were not able to play in that particular game because either injuries or suspension. So I feel like that one can be a reason, but I don't think that can be a defense, because at the end of the day, a team has different type of players, and that's why you have the bench. You need to have a squad depth. When one person gets injured, it's a good replacement, not just a replacement, but a better replacement, So that's what a good team and a competitive team should be doing. So that was a failure from just the team. You cannot escape the fact that this is an embarrassing win. We cannot escape that. And the chairman issued a statement yesterday, and it was, as much as it was maybe reduce the tension and the anger among the fans. I feel like what will make the fans maybe feel better is maybe the next game, to perform in the next game. We need a better performance in the next game. As a fan of FC Leopards, a very good fan of FC Leopards, a club that is very close to my heart, I love and follow every day. I felt so bad when we lost to such particular match. Losing is one thing, but losing with a margin of 4-1, that's quite embarrassing for a club in the name of FC Leopards. FC Leopards is quite a big brand to be losing to such a goal margin. But anyway, this is football. At the end of the day, we say this is football. You either win, lose, or draw. So it was a time for loss, and we hope and pray that in the next game they'll be rising from this particular defeat. And I know the players also get hurt. It's not that they lost when they were because they wanted to. Sometimes it is not just today, and I hope they grow from this one and forget this particular setback and look forward to the next games, because there's still a host of games to play as the league is approaching an end. And now I think the difference is 10 points. 10 points is not a lot of games. It's just three games and a draw, and hoping that the person that is Gor Mahia, who is ahead of them, loses 3 matches, which is unlikely. But you can never stop hoping. Anything can happen. This is football. Those are the games that took place on Saturday. And now, as we go to the next games that took place on Sunday, before we come back, before we come to the table, Before we even go, I'm looking at the statistics in the particular match. That particular FC Leopards against Madrid United against FC Leopards match is that, okay, the goals were scored by Ouru, who scored 2 goals in the 17th and 33rd minutes. Omweri, who scored in the 87th. Omondi, 90 plus 6. And FC Leopards' solitary goal was scored by Victor Omune. And if you look at the possession side, FC Leopards had much of the ball with 52% possession against 48 by Mathare United, which you get to wonder, why do you have much of the ball and losing by that particular goal margin? But it is football anyway, as we said earlier. If you look at the short attempts, on FC Leopards had 12 and Mathare United had 17, which means Mathare United were more clinical and little going for the attacks as compared to FC Leopards. The shot accuracy from Mathare was 29, FC Leopards was 25, which is not bad off. It's quite close by. So that is just about everything that took place in that particular game. And if you even look at the offsides, Mathare United had 4 offsides. FC Leopards only had 1, which means this is a match that Mathare United wanted to win. If you look at the statistics, they tell, even if you didn't watch the game, you look at the statistics and you get to understand why this happened. You know. If you are scoring 4 goals and another 4, you are offside 4 times, it shows that you really wanted to win this particular match, and that shows a push and the enthusiasm to want to win the match. And kudos to Mathare United. Congratulations to you for winning that particular match. As much as it pains me to say that, but it is what it is. It happened, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't deny it. So it is what it is. As much as I'm broken this weekend, I believe that we're going to rise from this one. We are the amateur bana. Makucha ile itatu. Usicheke, usidharau Simba inaitwaje, Leopard ambayo imelala. Sasa ingine ikiamka utaumia. So maybe tulala kidogo, tunajua utaamka next time pale. Let's look at the matches that took place this Sunday, that is yesterday, whereby Shabana played against Kariobangi Sharks. I'll be giving you the results in a short while. Let me first mention all the games that took place. So Shabana played against Kariobangi Sharks at the Gusii Stadium. Tusker took center stage against Kakamega Homeboys at the Wanguru Stadium. KCB locked horns with Muranga Seals at the Nyayo Stadium. Ulinzi Stars played against Gor Mahia at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. That was all these matches took place yesterday. I want us to start from the Shabana against Kariobangi Sharks match, whereby Kariobangi Sharks defeated Shabana by 2-1. Whereby Kariobangi Sharks goals were scored by Omondi on the 79th minute and Kesa on the 81st minute. And of course, the scorer of the Shabana side is the obvious, is Brian Mishira, of course, a very good player who is doing so well and giving out the numbers in terms of contributions to the Shabana team. I'm looking at the statistics whereby we look at possession-wise. Shabana also had much of the possession, again 53% against Mathare United's 47%. Quite indifferent, because we all know the type of game that Kariobangi Sharks play. I would expect Kariobangi Sharks to have most of the possession, but it is what it is. If you look at the short attempts, 12 for Shabana against 14 for Kariobangi Sharks, which means Kariobangi Sharks only this more, especially they had more attempts on goal. Look even at the shot accuracy, the pass attempts and all that. It showed that Kariobangi Sharks was bringing the game to the Shabana side. I'm not saying that Shabana were bad off. They were also doing something, just that sometimes luck is not on your side. As much as you try to play well, but when luck is not, okay, actually not luck, but it is not your day, because I don't think football is a game of luck. It's a game of how you wake up, how the preparedness, and how mental preparedness, physical preparedness, and all that, and how the approach of the game. You know, it's quite it's quite a determining factor when it comes to a game of football. So I hope, and of course, we can say that the team that was better prepared, based on all the factors surrounding that particular match, carried the day. And it is what it is. And it is for me, it is something positive, because Shabana were laughing at the Leopards on Saturday because of how they lost. And so this was a sweet revenge. Thank you so much, Kariobangi Sharks. I'm not laughing because I'm laughing because they lost. Let's just say the truth. I'm not going to lie here. I don't hate Shabana. I love Shabana so much, but the fact that they were laughing at FC Leopards on Saturday, I couldn't help it. But I couldn't help but feel good about this particular loss to them yesterday. So at least past FC Leopards, and maybe that they won't even reduce the margin. So tuko tu pale ambapo venye tulianza weekendi. It is what it is, huh? The next match of the game, Tusker playing against Kakamega Homeboys. Tusker, who were at home, won by 2-0. Kakamega Homeboys saw bad things this particular weekend in the city. Yeah? They came to the city and received 2 goals to them, and they went back home carrying a baggage of 2 goals, you know. All of Tusker's goals being scored by Ibrahim Joshua, who also doubled up as the man of the match in that particular game. Looking at the statistics here, Kakamega Homeboys had much of the possession, 70% against 30 by Tusker. You know, Tusker had the limited number of ball touches, but still walked away with the win, which is very, very crucial for them. Based on how they've been performing in this particular season, they've not been in their normal form in the as compared to the previous seasons. So I can say this is one of the worst seasons so far. But coming up with the win against Kakamega Homeboys is a good booster for them, especially when you look at the statistics whereby you look at Kakamega Homeboys had better much of the ball, had much of the attempts on goal, had the most shot accuracy, had the most corners, had the most offsides. You know, the only place Tusker led was the scoreline and the yellow card. So it shows the determination. You know, and this is what I call performance of a champion, because I'm not saying Tusker are anywhere near being champions, but I'm saying when you have that, when you're used to this game, when ile uzoefu, kuna uzoefu katika in a match pale, it doesn't matter how you play as much as come up with the win. That is a philosophy that is being employed also by a certain team in England that is unfortunately leading the league, but it is what it is. Yeah? Coming out with the win despite the poor performance is what you need to see, you know. You can't perform poorly and also lose. It's a double tragedy. So Tusker here helped themselves and they performed, came out with the 3 points on 2 goals and a clean sheet. It's a good performance from them, and kudos to Ibrahim Joshua for the 2 goals and man of the match performance from him. On the other side, there's a game, KCB Football Club was playing against Murang'a Seals, whereby the match ended in a 1-1 draw. Match which had promised quite an action here. And from the KCB side, the goal being scored by Mondi on the 14th minute, then Masharia equalizing on the 69th minute. I'm looking at the statistics here, whereby, of course, Murang'a Seals had much of the ball during the game. That is possession-wise. And also shows some attempts on goal, also same thing. When you look at the pass accuracy also, Murang'a Seals took the better side or the upper side, so it means Murang'a Seals had a good game, but of course luck, the winning luck, the lady luck was not on their side. But coming up with a draw is not a bad thing, especially against the KCB side. We know what KCB can do, and so getting a draw against KCB is not something bad of, especially when you're Murang'a Seals. I'm not saying Murang'a Seals is a poor team. I'm just saying when you look at the if you look at this something, uzoefu nikataa kwa kizungu kwa nini jamani? What is happening? Ukiangalia uzoefu pale unapata kwamba KCB are some distance ahead, you know. So definitely managing a draw against KCB, it's a welcomed performance from Murang'a Seals, if I may say. I'm not a fan, but I believe the fans feel the same. If you're feeling otherwise, please tell me down on the comment section. I've told you that this broadcast is live on our Facebook page at EBN TV. Comment down there, tell me where you're watching us from, and take part in the conversation about the various topics that I'll be tackling, especially in the SportPesa Premier League. I've also tackled the WRC, that is the Safari Rally that took place in Naivasha this past weekend. The next game was Ulinzi Stars against Gor Mahia, a game that I would like to forget, because I don't fail to understand why my rivals are winning and we're not, you know. I don't understand why Gor Mahia just keeps winning and FC Leopards is not, you know. And I know the banter that exists between these FC Leopards and Gor Mahia, so definitely it's not been a good week for me, especially here in the home football. The Gor Mahia goals were scored by Morrison, Isombe, and Sharif. Morrison scored in the 9th minute, Isombe scored. Scored in the 69th, and Sharif finished up on the 76th minute. The single goal scored by the Stars was scored by Odhiambo in the 87th minute. Yeah, so that's some of all the games that were played this weekend. And Gor Mahia continue leading the league. I'm looking at the table right now. I'm going to talk about the first 5 teams. Gor Mahia, after 24 games, leads with 53 points. 10 points ahead of FC Leopards, who have played a match less, on 43 points. Then on the third position is Shabana on 40 points. After the maximum 24 games. Kakamega Homeboys comes in fourth after 23 games with 38 points. Fifth, Muranga Sales with after 24 maximum games are on 37 points. Those are the top five teams. So the bottom 3 teams that, if at all the league ends today, they might be looking at relegation. We have Sofapaka right now sitting at the bottom of the table after 24 maximum games, are only on 14 points. That is quite sad, no, for a team of the level of Sofapaka. This is quite sad. Ulinzi Stars comes in second last, that is the 17th position after 24 games on 19 points. APS Bomet, the newcomers, on 24 maximum games and on 20 points. So that's just about all on the SportPesa Premier League that took place this weekend. Any question or query, just holler at us through our social media platform, that is at EBN TV on Facebook, EBN TV on YouTube, whereby the broadcast is live. Jot down your comment down there. I'll be reading them when we come back. So I want to take a short break and have a cup of water to sort of, I think to smoothen my voice box. So stay tuned, don't go too far. In the meantime, share the broadcast to as many people as possible, so that we can have a good number of engagement and people knowing more about this amazing show called The Scoreboard, that talks about everything sporty in depth and preciseness. So don't go too far. Yes, welcome back. I hope you're still riding with us till the end in this particular show. This is The Scoreboard, your one-stop shop for every sporting activity, each and every Monday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. with me, Michael Dipo, and a host of other people who today, unfortunately, due to the hustle and bustles of life, are not present today. I believe some of them went to Naivasha. Watu walikuwa, I think kuna jam hiyo Naivasha na Nakuru highway. I think kuna jam, because I don't understand why hawajafika ama hawakukuja leo, because okay, maybe bado watu kuna weekend blues pale, kwa hivyo we understand for them, because it was quite a busy weekend, very busy weekend, so very much understand. But I think I'm the only one who was not busy, because of I was busy on other things. I was very much at work, so quite an unfortunate weekend. So that's why you see me here. Kama ningeenda Fasha Family usingekuwa, tungecheza repeat last week. Anyway, we thank God because I am here. I'm not happy that I'm the only one here because I'm going to enjoy home. Like anyway, and also Madin is not feeling well, so we pray for quick recovery for our friend Madin. I pray that you get better, and we'll be having him next week here and now. And also we were supposed to have a host of hosts who were supposed to come and talk about grassroots football, but we couldn't have it today, so we're going to have it next week. So stay tuned and make sure you're here next week, same place, same time, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be having our guests here talking about grassroots football, so don't fail. Always keep it EBN TV on Mondays, especially because it's a sporty Monday. Monday is always sporty because the weekend is always laden with a number of sporting activities. Now, finishing up with the SportPesa Premier League, I'm looking at the SportPesa Premier League week that was chosen by is it the fans or the league? They're saying that the best performed coach this week was John Kamau. Is it the Madrid United coach? I'm forgetting. And then the best keeper this week was Ogenda from Marashuga. Then they went with the 4-4-2 formation. The two defenders, central defenders, are Musungu from Marashuga and Amuka from Bidco United. We have Akwala Taska, that is on the left back, and on the right side you have Omamo from Posta Rangers. The two midfielders, central midfielders, you have Ouru from Madrid United and Tsuma from Bandari. Then the wingers on the left side we have Sharif from Gor Mahia and Omweri from Madari United. Then the two strikers, you have Joe Idira from Rangasils, of course. The guy has been bagging in goals left, right, and center. I believe he's the top scorer right now in the league. I believe he's the top scorer right now. And then we have Ibrahim Joshua from Tusker. That is the team of the week as chosen from the Sport Pesa League. Do you have any disputes about that? Tell us on the comment section. Who do you think has been left out and who can be dropped there to replace the person that you feel has been left out? So write down on the comment section. Tell us what you feel who has been left out and who should be replaced with. It will be amazing. In the meantime, also something good happened during the last week, whereby still on the Kenyan football arena, whereby finally, after a host of years, that is almost 13 years, almost 13 years, finally a debt has been paid. You see, former Harambee Stars coach, that is Jacob Ghost Mulee, most of us are conversant with him. I believe the last time he coached the Harambee Stars was in 2013, if I'm not wrong. I was looking at the archives. Since 2013, there was when he left the job as the head coach of Harambee Stars, he had not been paid his arrears till this year. After the coming in of the new office, I'm told that after the coming in of the new office, he reached out to the federation and told them about the outstanding debt that he was owed by the previous regime, and they made a commitment to pay him in time, and they have been doing that. And the last bit of it, as I'm informed, was paid last week, a sum of 1.9 million shillings that sealed the debt owed to the former Harambee Stars coach, which is a good thing, because at the end of the day, we need to see our sportsmen and women getting their due payment, because sports is a job like any other, and people should reap whenever they sow into sports. So whoever sows in sports must reap out of it, especially when it comes to the playing unit and the coaching unit, because they put so much work into their craft. People train from when they were kids and to turn professional, and also coaches go to school and all that. I spend a lot of money to make sure that they get this knowledge, and so whenever they get work, they're supposed to be paid, and paid well according to the quality of their work. And it's a good feeling to know that the federation committed to paying him his debt, and it has fulfilled that. So kudos to the federation. And also I know it's good. It was a good week for the former Harambee Stars coach. And ukiwa unanisikia Ghost Mulee, nitumie hata kachai, siwezi kata, najua ni juu, lakini sauti inafikanga place yote, and tumata ya chai nitafurahia, siwezi kata, so good, and I'm happy because that happened. You know, it shows the transparency and also maybe that commitment by the federation to make sure that they put things in their house in order. You know, because the previous regime was marred with a lot of controversies, unpaid bills and all that, corruption and all that. And when you are ushering in the new regime, the people who were looking for this new regime had a lot of expectations from them, and we're seeing such things happening right now. Despite, of course, you can never be 100%, because since the new regime came in, there have been one or two complaints here and there, especially the recent one pitting Gor Mahia and Red United, and a host of other things. But I believe that they are looking into making sure that they uplift and improve the sporting level in this country, and that's a commitment that they made when they were coming into office, and also when they were campaigning. So I hope we live to see that, because football is one of the most loved sports in this country. A good number of people, like almost 90% of Kenyans, know about football, and they love it and they follow it, some play it. So definitely when we see when a football improves, then I think it will be also a good thing for even for other sports, you know, being one of the most celebrated sports in this country. So kudos to the FKF, and I hope they do the same with the other areas maybe that has been disturbing their offices, you know. And one particular one is one for the other former coach who unfortunately passed on last week also, in the name of Engin Firat. Most of us, if you're a sports lover, you know about Engin Firat, especially if you follow the Kenyan football, who was at one time Harambee Stars coach not long ago, and I think his contract was terminated prematurely, so and also he left with the FKF having arrears from his payments. And as I was checking around, the payments were amounting to almost 75 million Kenya shilling. That's a whole lot of money. It's a lot of money. And I can't help but being amazed. Why would you wait for that amount to get to that far? Maybe I think maybe there was an aspect of a penalty charge because of the termination of the contract before it coming to an end of it. But at the end of the day, that's a lot of money, and the fact that unfortunately he passed on last week, and it is reported that he passed on an airport, I think in Isonga, is it in Turkey or what? And before he passed on, he was the head coach of Nejm FC from Lebanon, whereby a host of Kenyan stars are playing, players like Austin Odhiambo, Anthony Akumu, and also these are the guys. So almost 3 Kenyan players were playing in that team that he was coaching prior to his death, and it's so unfortunate, and we say condolences to his family, because being at one time a part of our national team means that he was once part of a Kenyan family. So condolences to his family, condolences to his friends, his team, the people he has coached, the people he has inspired to be coaches and players and all that, and the fact that he had fallen in love with this beautiful country of ours is a thing that makes us also bleed when we heard that news. And all the sporting fraternity around the world who passed through his hand or had an influence from him, condolences to you all for that particular. It's a very huge gap, and he's already buried because of the Muslim customs. He's already buried, but of course his works that he left behind, of course, will live on. The people that he mentored, the people that he encouraged, the people that he raised in these particular sports will live to continue his legacy. And at one of the stations, I heard about some of the players that he has coached, especially Anthony Akumu and Austin Odhiambo. They talked very highly of him with the impact he's had in their lives, especially when it comes to football. And it's quite sad that he died. I feel like it's quite premature. I think he was 50-something years, 53 years, if I'm not wrong, or something close to that. So he was still very young. And of course, it is God who gives and we who takes, so you can't fault anything. And well, it's quite sad. And on that sad note, I want also to go on a short break as I take a breather to try and mourn this great man in the football fraternity in this country. So let us take a very short break. I'll be back in a moment. I hope you're still hanging on there as we go on with the show. I hope you are writing down your comment on the comment section, because I'll be reading them in a short while. And also you're following on the page, the EBN page, both on YouTube, on Facebook, and also subscribing on YouTube, because it's very important to get even more greater shows, because in this station you have amazing family oriented shows. So make sure you subscribe and follow us. And also for the ones who are watching on television, if you feel like you want to contribute in this particular conversation, go on our Facebook page or YouTube page. I'll be reading your comments there. Take part in the conversation. Tell me what you feel about the topics that you're tackling here. Tell me what you feel about the topic of the day, whereby do you think Arsenal, do you feel are Arsenal on the road to winning the league? Do you think Arsenal will win this league? Because right now they are sitting pretty, I think it's 10 points ahead of is it 10 points or 7 points? Why am I confusing? Do you think Arsenal will win the league at this point that we are in right now, from what we are seeing, and depending on the form that they are in, and the margin they are creating with the second position, that is Man City? Do you think Arsenal will win the Premier League? Tell me down there which forms the question of the day. In the meantime, and us to go straight into the English Premier League, whereby a host of games took place this weekend. A number of games, literally every team took part in playing a game in this game of football this weekend. Whereby I'm starting from the first team that started. We were Burnley played to a 0-0 draw with Bournemouth. Sunderland lost to Brighton by a solitary goal to nil. Arsenal won by 2-0 against Everton. Chelsea lost to Newcastle by a solitary goal. West Ham versus Man City ended in a 1-1 draw. That's quite unfortunate. Crystal Palace also drew against a 10-man Leeds by a 0-0 scoreline. The great Manchester United yesterday won by 3-1 against Aston Villa. Nottingham Forest drew against Fulham. The Liverpool game ended in a 1-1 all draw against Tottenham Hotspurs. And today we are going to have one game whereby Brentford will be taking on Wolverhampton at 11 p.m. today. So if you get time, go watch that game. It's going to be, I think it's one of the games that you need to watch if you love football, and I'll make sure I watch that. Hope I'll be home by then. This weekend had promised to be a weekend of amazing actions after small hiatus last weekend, and it proved that it came with a lot of disappointments, and some quarters rejuvenated themselves. Some people were disappointed, and all that. Especially if we're going to talk about Liverpool, Chelsea, of course, Manchester City, just to mention but a few who disappointed this particular. Let us start from Burnley, ending in a 0-0 draw against Bournemouth. This is a game that was quite difficult from the look of it. If you understand football, then you know how difficult this game was, because Burnley, everybody now is looking down upon Burnley, and one thing about being an underdog is that you've got nothing to prove, and the fact that you've got nothing to prove, you're going there to make sure that people hear about you, and just playing without that pressure, But Bournemouth had everything to win in this particular game. Now, I think that pressure to try to win against Burnley brought a lot of difficulties. And if you follow the English Premier League for the longest time, then you understand that in these in these final months of the league, even the smaller teams rise up to the occasion and try and most of the time they disappoint these teams that had form from the beginning of the season. So definitely it is not something new. That's what I'm saying. It was a very difficult game. Anybody else would have said that, oh, this one would be a walkover for Bournemouth, but I hadn't seen it like that, and it proved me right that it ended in a 0-0 draw. I'm looking at the lineups in this particular game, whereby the team that started on the Burnley side, they went on the 4-2-3-1 formation under coach Scott Parker, former Fulham player. I used to love his football when he was a Fulham player. I was still a young kid, but I knew Scott Parker, of course. I knew at Fulham especially. They went for the 4-2-3-1 formation, whereby on the posts, between the posts was Dubravka. The four defenders we had Walker, Humphries, Steve, and Hartman. The two pivot midfielders we had Loren and Ward-Prowse. Then the three attacking midfielders we had Foster, Medjbri, and Anthony. Then on the striker we had Fleming. On the other side, on Bournemouth side, under the stewardship of Andoni Iraola, they also went with the same formation of 4-2-3-1, whereby between the posts was Petrovic. The four defenders we had Truffat, Senesi, Hill, and Smith. And Senesi is turning out to be a very integral or important defender in this particular team. He's been putting in the numbers, and anyone who has this Senesi on his FPL team can tell you how important this player is. So if you're not in the FPL, if you don't have Senesi in your team, man, you're losing a lot. The two pivot midfielders we had Christie and Scott. The three attacking defenders we had Ryan, Krupi, and Tevania. Then on the forward line we had Ivan Nilsson. I told you the game ended in a 0-0 draw, and of course I expected that, or maybe even worse, because this was to be a tough game, and it was a tough game. I'm looking at the statistics right now, and for these individual teams, and I'm looking at possession. Bournemouth took over the possession, having had a 62% possession against 38% from the other side, from Burnley. And I felt wonder why Burnley didn't have most of the balls there, based on the fact that they were at home. But of course, the end justifies the means. That's what people say. So definitely, if you look at the expected goals for either of the teams, Bournemouth had the 2.55 and against 1.4 from Burnley, which means Bournemouth had showed a lot of promise in this particular game by attacking and also trying to find spaces to make sure they convert their goals, which of course didn't happen, but they tried. If you look at the total shots on target, on the total shots, you see Bournemouth had 22 shots in this. 22 shots. Whoa. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Against 15 by Burnley. On target, you cannot. Come on, Boom. You cannot have 22 shots total and having only 3 shots on target. That is quite wasteful. And also the same thing happens to Burnley. Maybe this shows why it ended in a 0-0 all draw, because Burnley had only 2 shots on target. This is quite poor. You can't have a 22 overall number of shots and only 3 on targets. And the other side, you have 15 overall shots and only 2 on target. This is quite poor. I think they were quite poor in their attack. the quite blunt pale na inaonyesha pale msikizaji wangu ama mtazamaji. I'm so used to the radio and that's msikilizaji, come on. Yeah, so I think that's all about that particular game. The second game we had Sunderland against Brighton, a game that also was quite difficult. And I remember I had a conversation with one of my friends, Simon, a very staunch Chelsea fan, on radio on Saturday, and we were talking about this particular game, and he was insisting that Sunderland was going to beat Brighton, and I told him it would be quite difficult, because as much as I feel Sunderland are a good side, I don't think Brighton are a bad side either. They're quite good, and if you look on how they perform, and the fact that Minte is back to the team and putting in a man of the match performance that we expect, because this is Minte. Before he went on an injury, for the injury, he was performing so well. He was helping the team so well. Now his comeback has shown his importance in that particular Brighton team, and that showed in this particular match when he provided a man of the match performance. And I'm looking at the lineups first of all. Under coach Regis de Vries, that is Sunderland, they went for the 4-1-4-1 formation. Then for the 4-1-4-1 formation, and within the post we had Elbog, and the four defenders we had Gatrida, Ballard, Aderet, and Hume. On the pivot there was one midfielder, that is Granit Xhaka. Of course had a yellow, it's normal for him. The four attacking midfielders we had Rig, Diarra, Sadiki, and Taibi, and then on the front line we had Brian Brobbey, the guy who came from Sporting Lisbon. No, from Ajax, sorry. He comes from Ajax. He came from Ajax. On the other side, on the Brighton side, under coach Fabian Hasler, we had Verbruggen between the posts, a player that I have on my FPL, but his bait. Provided he had 7 points. Woo! I regret putting him on the bench. Kwa FPL is understand. If you're not in FPL, you're losing a lot. So on the four defenders, we had Kadioglu, Dank, Van Heek, and Wifa. The two pivot midfielders we had Grob and Milner. Then on the three attacking midfielders we had Minte, who scored the lone goal, Hinchelwood and Gomez. Then on the front line we had Danny Welbeck, a very formidable team, and of course proved that after coming out to that solitary goal to nil against Sunderland. And like I told you earlier, Sunderland is a very good team. But getting a win against Sunderland for Brighton, this is an added advantage for them. It's a good thing. It was a good game for them. Looking at the statistics here, if you look at the possession, it was almost equal, because Brighton had a 52% possession against 48% by Sunderland, which means it was very much close by. It was like an end-to-end game, it was almost equal on keeping the ball. The XG, or the expected goals by either sides, we had 1.68 by Brighton and 0.9 by Sunderland, which means Brighton wanted more much of the game. They showed promise of trying to attack and maybe getting the win, which of course they got now. If you look at the total shots on goal, Brighton fell short against Sunderland, whereby Brighton had only 12 and Sunderland had 14, which means Sunderland were quite waitful, because if you look at the shot on target, they both had four. They both had 4, which means Sunderland were quite wasteful, and it was a very close game if you ask me, in this particular match. And it was expected, that's why, because I feel like this. If you look at the profiles of these two teams, they're almost on the equal level, I would say, if I would say, I'm looking at the table how they are placed. They're also very close to the table, because Brighton is after winning that particular match, is at the 12th position, and Sunderland drops into the 3rd. And if you look at the career, if you look at the points, they are both on 40, so they are very much equal on every measure. They are very much equal on every measure, so it was a tough game as it had called. So definitely kudos to Brighton for coming out with that particular win. The next game was again pitting Arsenal and Everton. I hate that particular match, because come on, Everton really disappointed me. I'm not saying Arsenal needed to be defeated. I'm just saying Everton disappointed me, because I felt like they would have put up they would have put more spirited fight in this match. Maybe come out with a draw, it would have been better, because we never turn at a good side. You know how quality the quality they have. Wakina Ilimandiae, wakina Ganagay, wakina a good number, wakina Brantford and all that. You know, I thought maybe they would put up a spirited fight against Arsenal, but Arsenal coming out with the clean sheet in this particular match, then it was quite disappointing, especially on the Everton side. I don't know. Is it that Arsenal are too good, or Everton just played rubbish in this particular game? I'm looking at the lineups here that either side started with. I'm looking at Arsenal. They started under the tutelage of Mikel Arteta. They went for the 4-2-3-1. Of course, very much defensive with 5 defenders here. Yeah, I say that. Now, Timber on the post was Raya, of course, as normal. The 3 defenders, we had Timber, Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, who had the man of the match performance, and Calafiori. On the 2 pivot midfielders, who are more like defenders. We had Zubimendi and Rice, of course. Very defensive minded, as much as Rice sometimes tries to go forward, but of course he's a defensive midfielder. Okay, I got number 8 anyway. You know, if Arsenal fans may come for me, but of course we had 5 defenders in this particular game. Very weak, very team Moga sana hii team ya Arsenal. How can you play with 5 defenders? No, 6 actually. Oh, 6 defenders actually. Yeah, 6 defenders actually. The 3 attacking midfielders, you had Saka, Eze at the number 10 finally, and Madueke, and on the front line you had Havertz coming from injury. I hope he's injured again, because Havertz cannot play 3 consecutive games. Is he injured? Arsenal fans tell me down there, because he went out on the 61st minute. So tell me, is he injured? I didn't watch that game. I just got to see. I only watched the highlights. So is Havertz injured again? I want to believe so. Everton side under the tutorship of David Moyes, they went also for the 4-2-3-1 formation. On the goal post was Pickford as always. With 4 defenders, we had Mikolenko, Keane, O'Brien, and Ghana. Why did Ghana play as a defender? Was it a tactical approach, or what happened here? Why did Ghana play as a defender, as a fullback? Because naturally he's a midfielder, and a good one at that. So I don't understand why. On the 2 pivot midfielders, we had Ganagay and Bunam. On the 3 attacking midfielders, we had Ilimandiae, one player that I love to watch. One player that I so much love to watch, and I hope he gets a bigger team when it comes in the summer. He transfers to a better team that will guarantee him the Champions League, because he deserves to be the Champions League. He's a very good player, very decisive. Drewsbury Hall and McNeil. Also Hall, I think I'm hearing rumors of quite a big team looking for him. Then on the front line, you had Beto, who has been shooting blanks in recent times. I don't know why he's falling quite drastically. Looking at the stats, I think Arsenal, of course, as expected, had much of the possession, that is 64.5% against 35.5% by Everton. Of course, we expect this. Arsenal are a very good side when they can hold the ball, despite the fact that recently they've employed some tactics that are despicable, but still I think they have that quality to hold the ball, and it was very much expected of them. Football, holding the football. The expected goals, you had Arsenal had 2.7 against 1.05 by Everton. Of course, expected again. 25 shots total for Arsenal and 9 shots by Everton, and only 7 shots on target. Quite a poor statistics here. You cannot have 25 total shots and only 7 on target. Arsenal, come on, why are you playing like amateurs? Everton had only 3 shots on target. Come on, this was a very poor game, and I want to assume it was very boring. I said I didn't watch it, so if I say it's boring, it's because I didn't watch it. I believe, and from the statistics, I think it was quite boring. So I really wish that Manu was here to explain to me what he feels about them winning the league. I know he will say that he would have said that they are looking at winning they are sure of winning the league. As always, they're always delusional, but okay, for the first time their delusion might pay off. I hope so also, because I would rather have Arsenal win the league than Man City, because if Man City wins the league, then we'll be calling this EPL as a farmers league. So I'd rather, as much as it's very much unlikely coming from me, but I would rather Arsenal win the league. That's just me, and I've been consistent with this since the beginning of the season, because I didn't feel like I don't want Guardiola to ever win a league again until he's fired or resigns. I do not want him to win the league. If it's not us, let Arsenal win. I would rather even have I'd rather have Aston Villa win the league but not Man City. Of course, I can never wish for anything positive for Liverpool. The only thing I can wish for Liverpool is relegation, but because it is unlikely, let us not win the league. Yeah, I hate Liverpool. That is very evident. I hate Liverpool. The next game was another useless team by the name Chelsea. I feel very happy saying this. I feel very happy saying this because I know a host of Chelsea players. One of them is the one behind the camera, threatening me with death threats here because of he supports a very useless team. I'm saying it because he can do nothing to me because I'm on air. So yeah, a very useless team by the name Chelsea lost to Newcastle by a goal to nil. Of course, these are the same guys who are laughing at Manchester United the previous week before losing against this Newcastle. And now they go to the doors, their own doors here, eh? On your faces. Shame on you for laughing. Do you know I'm laughing at Chelsea this much? Because they lost 2 games in a span of 1 week. They lost in the Champions League. They were beaten 5-2 by PSG. And yesterday they were beaten by very useless team. They were beaten by Newcastle. Let me tell you one thing. You know, on Mondays I come to work very early in the morning, and on rare occasions I use Sanduthi. And today was one of those days that I tried to use Sanduthi, and Sanduthi guy is very angry. So I had to board a matatu in those wee hours of the morning because Chelsea as it's obvious, or Chelsea alikuwa na mood swings, and nikapanda matatu, nikajifinya kwa watu wa matatu because my guy was not happy. Let me tell you how useless Chelsea is. Let us start from the line of friends and see where Chelsea went right, because Chelsea losing is happening, so they went right. Let us start they went for the 2-3-1 formation, as many things are doing nowadays. On the between the posts was Sanchez as always, the Sanchez of course. The 3 defenders we had Gusto, who came out with the 45th minute. You see how poor they must have been. And then we had Fofana, Chalobah, and Kukurea. And on the pivot in the midfield you had James was pushed the midfield, and a number of times this thing worked for James being in the midfield. But come on, luck will not always come on your side on every day. Always gonna bahati kila siku. Like sometimes. That luck may not work on your favor. So James was on the pivot in the midfield, and Caicedo. The 3 attacking defenders had Palma, Fernandes, and of course Project 49 with the name Garnacho. And then he had Joao Pedro in the front line. On the other side, under the tutorship of Eddie Howe, that is Newcastle United, they went for the 4-2-3-1. And between the sticks, or between the posts, we had Ramsdale. The 4 defenders we had Hall, Botman, Thiaw, and Livramento. The two pivot midfielders we had Ramsey and Willock, and then the 3 attacking midfielders we had Barnes, Walter Med, and Jacob Murphy. Then on the front line we had Gordon, who I think scored the goal, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Gordon is the one who scored the goal. And on that, before I go deeper into it, somebody has come in, so let me take a short break as we welcome one of the panelists inside the studio. I think I ansaidia hapa, at least ansaidia hapa hivi, and maybe answer the question: are Arsenal winning the league this season? We are going for a very short break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about everything that is remaining. It's a good thing as much as they are winning they are winning like a weak team, but still it's a win. A win is a win. It feels a bit
like Liverpool last season. They weren't very convincing, but at the end of the day, they won the league.
So. And it will be good to see how they can celebrate, because they've been frustrated for the longest time. I think even Mungu alali. I think God is a fair God.
Ameonekania
this time. And I believe this might be the only one they get to after this, maybe after 20 years again, because and maybe some of us won't even be here. So I think it serves them right to win this time. Yeah. Let's talk about Chelsea. And Chelsea is turning out to be one of the, I almost said stupid. Chelsea, I don't know what is wrong with Chelsea.
I think there's a lot of problems with Chelsea, because I think earlier on, as the season was starting, a lot of people were saying Chelsea are going to be the ones in the title conversations and even in the Champions League positions. We were, as Manchester United, we were completely counted out. We were going to be playing in hopefully the Europa League or maybe even in the 7th, 8th positions. That is Conference League.
Yeah.
But suddenly the tables have completely turned. You look at Chelsea, they're in 6th right now, behind Liverpool and behind Aston Villa, behind Manchester United, who are in a very bad position a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So to go back to a few weeks ago, Manchester United were literally behind Chelsea, and now they are a few points ahead of them. So for Chelsea, there's a lot of issues going on there. You look at their squad, their attacking line is not performing as much as we hoped they would. Delap, I don't even remember the last time Delap scored, genuinely speaking, in the Premier League, that is. You look at Garnacho. Garnacho literally has a single goal in the Premier League this season. Literally one goal. And he was the one player who was brought in to hopefully bring in a bit of change in that team, but he's not doing anything. João Pedro, we could say, okay, arguably he has performed when required, but then again, he's not very consistent. In the times where you expect him to perform, he's not delivering as much. So there's a lot of issues going on there. They still have an injury crisis with a few players missing, a few players who are not consistently performing week in, week out. Again, the manager, a few people are not very happy with him. I think the expectations that they had for him, he's not really going up to those expectations. So there's a few issues going on at Chelsea.
And it's also a good thing because some people will now have to keep quiet and just relax their whatever. Because I'm looking at the comment section. One of such characters is here and making a lot of noise. And I say, Teddy, officially the Premier League is gone. With the crying emojis. Why are you crying? You're not even part of the conversation. The Premier League, Teddy. Chelsea was never part of the conversation. He says on Wednesday, Arsenal inaoma kukubali. On Wednesday, Arsenal will be kicked out of the Champions League. Isa ni uchungu inaongea. By Leverkusen. First leg, they were lucky. Leverkusen plays an entertaining game. In a few, we'll be talking about that. Chelsea have already been kicked out of the... that is Manu says, Chelsea have already been kicked out of the Champions League. So there's a banter going on the comment section on our Facebook page.
London clubs.
And also now says, happy to see Rodney back on the show.
Thank you.
And continue saying, Mike, let me remind you that the same Everton that we beat on Saturday is the same team that Man U failed to beat when Everton were 10 men. To make it worse, you even lost to them at Old Trafford. And now you beat Everton that beat us and we beat you. You see,
they cancel out.
We beat the team that beat Everton yesterday. So, of course, we are still the winners here. And Manuel continues by saying, defense wins you titles. Aki, I wish I was there to tell you this. You already said it and I've read it out. Man, is that not enough? And he says, should I call him say? And then Cheryl McGinney says she's following. Bina Mwania says, hello Mike, following the program. Thank you so much. And then Emmanuel also says, Mike, it's Arsenal see ya, manze. Without a doubt, Arsenal will win the Premier League. No problem. We're here to see. Gerson Madin says, the nightmare of Arsenal winning the league is here with us, and man, it will be dark. No, we don't care. Because the next time they'll be winning a team will be maybe after 30 years. So we'll be laughing. We have more years to laugh ahead of us.
We'll let them celebrate for a while and then we'll just forget about it.
Yes, segine mtoto unamwacha kidogo ajifanye aone kama kuna nguvu kidogo. I think sasa unampiga kofi anatulia.
The day Manchester United win it, I think social media will crash for a few hours.
It is, of course, in fact, they should be praised that Manchester never wins.
Yeah.
Because the day it wins, okay, they should be praying that next season never comes, because it comes. David Njia says, following the show, thank you so much. And Marcus Martin says he is also following. Thank you so much for everybody who's engaging. Hello, I'm seeing a lot of engagements today. Thank you so much. Come on, Teddy, this is a joke. As for now, I'm miming team Sunderland Uzuri. Really?
Sunderland lost.
And they lost again. Come on, Swara.
Yeah.
Sunderland also lost. They lost to me.
They lost to Brighton.
To Brighton, 1-0, exactly. Mint scored that, I remember. Yeah. That is states, and I will still beat you at Old Trafford. You will still beat me when? Next season? Really? Anyway, if wishes were horses, that's what we can say for now. Let us talk about, we're talking about Chelsea. Do you think Chelsea will get a top 4 position?
At the moment, the way they are playing, I don't think so. Because you look at Aston Villa, they're not very convincing at the moment, but they're still in a very solid position to qualify for top 4. You still look at Liverpool, they're slightly behind them, but again, in a very good position to qualify for the Champions League. So I think the only advantage that Chelsea have is that for this season we might get the top 5 qualifying for Champions League next season. So it could be an advantage for them. But at the moment they are not in a good position to qualify.
Definitely, and I support in that. And you're even leaning to them. I don't think they'll get even number 5. They'll be going to the
Europa League.
Unless one team from England wins the Champions League. Let's talk about now Manchester United winning against Aston Villa. This is a team that beat us in the first leg convincingly, and I still remember those goals give me nightmare. Yeah. Those 2 goals that were scored by
Rogers.
By Rogers, they still give me, because I still see how they carve and they enter through the corners, and it gives me nightmare. Yeah. And finally yesterday we to Pisha, like everyone else who beat us in the first leg has not beaten us in the second leg. Yeah. This is Manchester. What do you make of that particular game and winning that particular match? What confidence do you think gives this team that from now raising from the Newcastle game?
I think it was a massive win for Manchester United, and one that was badly needed, especially playing against Aston Villa, who are directly behind you. If you want to cement your position in that top 4 position, then that's one of the teams that you have to beat. I think it was definitely a badly needed result, especially after the Newcastle game, even though I personally feel like there was a lot of overreaction from some of our fan base and even the rivals in terms of the results in that Newcastle game. We've lost 1 game in 8.
Yeah.
I did not really understand why people were overreacting as much, but I think this was a very good result to sort of restore that let me say calm in the team, not only in the team but also generally in the fan base. So for Manchester United, it's now a matter of maintaining that performance and even composure in the next coming games, because we still have to play, I think, Liverpool. We still have to play Chelsea as well. So there's still a few big names in the upcoming fixtures. So it's just a matter of consistency and performing in those games.
Yeah, but I already scared about Liverpool, especially coming to Old Trafford. And of course, yes, we can beat them anywhere in this world. But let's talk about, yesterday we didn't just win the game. Bruno had a milestone yesterday, becoming the all-time best assist in a season. Now at 16 assists, and there's still almost 8 games remaining. What do we? Let's talk about Bruno Fernandes this season. He's been phenomenal as always, and I think the milestone is hard right now. Do you think he deserves a new contract at Manchester United? And are you seeing a situation whereby he gets a new contract?
I definitely see it. There were a few reports yesterday that Manchester United don't want to lose him, whether they qualify for the Champions League or not. He's now a priority player for that team, and I think he massively deserves a new contract at Manchester United, because he's one of the players who, if you look at Manchester United, even in the bad days or in the dark times that we've had as a team, he's the one player who has consistently performed, and he's the one player who always goes over and above to drag the team over the line. Even in the games where we struggle as much, he's the one player who will always produce a moment of magic to sort of rescue us out of it. And I was having a bit of a debate with my friends yesterday, those who are Arsenal fans, we were debating about who deserves the Player of the Year award this year in the Premier League, and they were saying Declan Rice deserves it. I was saying Bruno Fernandes deserves it. Personally, I think whether you're a Manchester United fan or not, Bruno Fernandes has been one of the players who has gone over and above in the Premier League this season. If you consider, this is the one player who was in the earlier days in the season under Ruben Amorim, he was playing in a completely different position. He was receiving the ball, basically he was essentially a deep lying playmaker, or maybe a defensive midfielder if you would call him that, and somehow he still has 16 assists. He basically has double the number of assists compared to the player who's next to him. He has 16 and the next player has 8. So he's basically delivering week in, week out, and even in the games where you say he's had a bad game, he'll still have a moment of magic where he'll produce something. So I think, personally speaking, if it comes to that, then maybe Bruno Fernandes deserves the Player of the Year award.
He does, and one thing I tell even my friends, I tell them that it's only that I think we don't have maybe a sharp striker. If we actually had good converters of maybe these balls, we would have even had more. Like yesterday, I think he would have had us even at a hat of assists, or 4 assists, So I feel like Bruno is one outstanding player that I just don't think he's the only he's the best player in the Premier League right now. I think like world over. I don't think there's a player as informed as Bruno right now. agree or not, but that is just the truth, you know.
Yeah.
So that goes without saying. He deserves that Player of the Year. If at all he was playing, if at all he were doing better in other competition, maybe he will be in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. Anyway, Manchester is just Manchester. He's letting that guy down, and I hope we change that next season. And not just Bruno in that particular. Let's talk about Casemiro. And yesterday, after the game or during the game, the fans were at the Stratford end were shouting 1 more year for Casemiro, and this is due to the fact that he's been very integral in making sure that he performs. Yesterday he scored a goal. He's been scoring a goals. He's even he has more goals than Saka this season. Yeah. He has 7 goals. Saka has 6. So like he has more goals than Saka than the star boy from Arsenal. Now let's talk about Casemiro and the impact he's had this season briefly. And what do you feel about him leaving this particular after this season?
I think it kind of hurts as a fan because he has been an integral part of this team. Because you look at when he came in, he massively delivered in the first season under Erik ten Hag, and then a few let me say a season after that, he was being constantly criticized, especially by Jamie Carragher. If you remember the famous quote, "Leave the football before the football leaves you," and eventually he found his form and he has completely risen over and above. After that, he has been basically a completely different player since then. He is delivering in the games where we completely need a goal. He's the one player who will always step up to deliver for this team, and I think it's going to, let me just say, hurt seeing him go, because we only have a few games left. I think 8 games.
Yeah.
I do understand the fans who are calling for him to stay for 1 more year, but then again, you look at it on another hand, he's on I think 350,000 contract at the moment for Manchester United, who are kind of trying to lower that wage bill. I think it's a bit difficult at the moment, unless he accepts a cut in the wages. So it's a difficult position to be in as maybe Manchester United, because you do want to bring in a replacement for him, but then again, it's kind of hard to bring in a like-for-like replacement who is going to deliver the same way that he does week in, week out. So it's still up in the air. We'll see if we do get an extension. Personally, I don't see it happening, but I do hope it happens, or we hopefully get a better player who's going to completely fill up his shoes.
Now, among the players that you maybe you look around the world right now, especially in Europe, who do you think can fit the shoes of Casemiro? Not fit, but also okay, maybe come closer to what Casemiro is doing right now.
I think at the moment, focusing on the Premier League, I would say either Elliot Anderson or what's his name, Sandro Tonali. I think those are the 2 players who I feel like if they were to come into this team, we would not only fill his gap but also elevate this team, because we sort of lack in that midfield area. We have improved a bit since Michael Carrick came in, but we still need a few, let me say, a bit more legs in that midfield. So
Baleba is out of the question completely right now.
The problem with Baleba is that he has not been very convincing this season. Exactly. He's had a few stints here and there where he shines, but he has not been the player that we hoped we would see consistently for this Premier League campaign. So I don't think we, or the player, the team that is scouting him ranks him as highly as, let me say, Anderson or even Sandro Tonali, who we have seen being linked in the last few days with Manchester United.
I'm looking at the profile of a player, not just the talent, because I feel like we can argue that maybe the transfer in Asama is what maybe disoriented his mind and all that, because it failed and it was pretty much dragging. So definitely to lose his focus. But I saw him at the African Cup of Nations. He's performing so well. Yeah. He did so in the African Cup of Nations. One of the most outstanding midfielders I saw from in that particular tournament. So which means the talent is still there. Maybe just the mind is not right at Brighton. Maybe that can be a case. So for me, what I say is if it turns out that he comes in, I will be very happy, because I like the play. I love how he plays, and if I'm trying to look at his combination in Maino, I think it can work wonders, because I feel like Baleba is more for a destroyer. Yeah. And then we leave for the playmaking to Maino. As much as maybe fall short Maino with that playmaking, but I think maybe he can make him now express himself more, with confidence. I'm looking at the profile of Anderson. Anderson is a good player, especially when it comes to passing, but is he a destroyer?
He is.
But I don't think at the level of Baleba.
I think if you look at our direct rivals in Manchester City, who are hopefully looking at him replacing Rodri, then he's definitely a similar profile. Yeah.
Oh, that's up for debate, and I hope continue to tell us if you're a Manchester United fan, who would you prefer? Is it Baleba or Anderson, or Tonali. But of all, I think if we get Tonali, it will be even better. I love how Tonali is everywhere, like in the midfield. Okay, that's the story for another day. Let's finish up. Let's talk about the Champions League briefly. Before we come, I don't think we should talk about Liverpool and I don't think that was. Okay, let's talk about briefly because the time is not on our side. We are just a single in a minute. Tell us about what do you feel about the Champions League right now? Do you think, especially for the English teams, because they performed poorly last week?
Yeah.
Who do you think is going out is being dropped from the Champions League?
I think the one team that is basically has one foot on the door is Chelsea. Definitely, I do not see them overturning that result, especially against PSG. That is a very, very difficult mountain to climb. Of course, it's football; it's not impossible. But then again, we have to be a bit realistic over here. I do not see them scoring a 4-0 difference. It's going to be quite difficult for them. For Arsenal, I think they still have a chance because it's a one-win
draw
aggregate. So at the moment, I still think they sort of scammed a penalty in the last few minutes.
Yeah,
but it's up for debate. But then again, the penalty was scored, so that's it. It's now on to the next fixture. So it's now about them basically delivering a convincing win against Leverkusen.
Definitely, and there's much talk about and many things to talk about, but I think because of time I'm going to drop there. In the meantime, just as we finish up, what would you say as we finish up? Generally about everything.
Generally, I think, okay, though we are not at the end of the Premier League, but this has been a very entertaining campaign. I think for most people it has completely blown their expectations, because I think when we go back to the first week of the Premier League, a lot of people are expecting Liverpool to win this season again convincingly, or maybe we're looking at Manchester City again dominating in the Premier League, but we're seeing a totally different playing field, because you look at teams like Brentford, who are still in the top 10 or maybe just slightly behind the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea. You would not have predicted that. You look at teams like Wolves, who are now looking at possible relegations, and even Spurs as well, because they're not in a very safe position right now. So I think this has been a very, very good Premier League campaign, and we hope that it's going to carry on to the very last day. And just to say thank you to each and everyone who has tuned in this afternoon. Thank you for taking your time. See you next week, same time, same place. God bless you, and have an amazing week.
Yes, have an amazing week, and I believe I read every message down here, and let it constitute by saying, Teddy says, for now, mimi ni team Chelsea, mimi nzuri. You beat yesterday Man U. Come on. Manu says, next season tutawachapa mara 4 kama Chelsea.
No comment.
Delusions of grandeur. With that, thank you so much for everybody who has tuned in, everybody who was taking part in the conversation, everybody who was watching both on the TV and on the social media pages. Thank you so much. God bless you so much. Have a nice week, and let us meet here next week from the same place, same time. Madin I believe Madin will be well by then. Manu will be back, and of course Rodney will be with us, and of course we'll have also 2 guests who will be coming to talk about grassroots football. So keep it EBN TV for subsequent news and more amazing shows. Goodbye for now.